Diomandé, Real Madrid has just hired the most absurd player in the world. And I say it like this directly because there is no other way to start this video. What the White Club has done has no precedent. It does not make sense to many. It has no explanation for those who have not seen this guy play even once. But for those who have seen him, for those who have been following the track for months, the question is not why Real Madrid has signed him. The question is how the hell he did not sign him before. Diomandé is a football animal, a football player who breaks all schemes, who does not fit into any category, who does things in a football field that should not be legal. And today, in this video, I'm going to tell you everything. Absolutely everything. The values of the operation in euros, what it will charge per year, the clauses that have been put into that contract, the qualities that make Diomandé a unique player on the planet, the goals he has scored and how he has scored them, what Mourinho has said about this hiring, which is a real bomb, what the Spanish press is saying, which is absolutely freaking out, and the fact that nobody has told you yet about why Real Madrid has moved heaven and earth to close this signing. And I promise you that when you hear it, you will understand why this guy is the most important signing in the last 5 years. So don't go anywhere, because this video is going to be crazy from start to finish. And before getting into the subject, one thing. I know there are people who are thinking right now, Diomandé. Who is Diomandé? Why should I care? And that's exactly why you have to stay. Because when you finish this video, you are going to know more about this footballer than 90% of European sports journalists. And you will understand why Real Madrid fans have been chasing him for more than 2 years across the continent. This is not just any signing. This is not a whim. This is a surgical operation designed to change the team's DNA. And Diomandé is the missing piece. But let's go to the beginning. Who is Diomandé? Where does this guy come from? Because his story, just his personal story, is already a movie. We are talking about a footballer who was born in Côte d'Ivoire, a country that has given the world of football extraordinary talents. From the same land of Didier Drogba, of Yaya Touré, of Gervinho, of Kolo Touré. A country where football is not a sport. It is a religion. And Diomandé grew up on the streets playing barefoot, without boots, without gloves, without anything. With balls made of rags. In red dirt fields where a bad fall left your knee raw. And that is a detail that is no less. Do you know why? Because when a footballer is formed like this, in those conditions, he develops something that cannot be taught in any academy in the world. Survival instinct. Hunger. A need to win every divided ball as if life depended on it. And that is exactly what you see when Diomandé steps on a professional field. Every match, every race, he does it with an intensity that scares. As if each game were the last of his life. But wait, because pure talent is only the base. What makes Diomandé special, what makes him a footballer who has no possible comparison in current football, is the combination of physical and technical qualities that he brings together in a single body. And this is where the truly absurd begins. Because when you see the numbers, when you see the objective data of what this guy is capable of doing, you will not believe it. Let's start with the physical. Diomandé is a colossus. We are talking about a footballer with a brutal wingspan, with a very low center of gravity for his size, which allows him to maintain balance in situations where any other player would fall to the ground. He has a power in the lower body that is from another planet. When he starts, when he picks up speed, no one stops him. And I'm not exaggerating. No one stops him. There is a sequence that went viral where Diomandé takes the ball in his own half, starts running, takes on a fullback who tries to cut him off, keeps running, takes on a second defender who tries to foul him, and can't because Diomandé has more strength than him, and ends up finishing from outside the area with a shot that almost breaks the net. That play, that single play, defines what this footballer is. Brutal strength combined with top speed combined with technical quality to finish the play with a goal. How many players in the world can do that? I'll tell you, very few indeed. And his speed, careful, because we are not talking about a player who is simply fast. Diomandé has an acceleration from 0 to 30 meters that places him among the fastest in Europe. But he also maintains that speed with the ball, and that is the difficult part. Anyone can be fast without the ball. Mbappé is fast without the ball. Vinicius is fast without the ball. But Diomandé is equally fast with the ball stuck to his foot. And that is a gift that is not trained. You are born with it or you are not born with it. And do you know what impresses me the most personally? That with all that physical power, with all that brute force, Diomandé has feet of silk. And here is where we enter the technical part, which is where this guy becomes something that cannot be explained with words. You have to see it. Diomandé has a first touch that is scandalous. He receives the ball in any position with his back turned sideways with a defender stuck to his back. And the first orientation is always good, always. He turns, profiles himself, protects the ball with his body, and when the rival thinks he has him controlled, he throws a dribble that leaves him nailed to the grass. And they are not empty fantasy dribbles, okay? They are not those useless flourishes that some do for the cameras and that serve for nothing. Diomandé's dribbles are functional, they are direct, they are devastating, they are dribbles that always leave the rival behind and generate danger. That is the difference. Every dribble of Diomandé is a dagger to the heart of the rival defense. But stay, because what comes now is even more beastly, because the quality that impacts the most about Diomandé has not been talked about yet. The one that has scouts from half the world going crazy. The one that has made Real Madrid put on the table an amount of money that I am going to reveal to you in a few minutes, and that is going to leave you with your mouth open. That quality is the goal. Diomandé is a born goalscorer, a predator of the area, a guy who smells the goal like a shark smells blood in the water. And this is not a subjective opinion of mine. These are pure and hard data. Diomandé has been one of the most goal-scoring forwards of the last seasons in Europe. We are talking about figures that are above the average of players who cost double or triple. And the most impressive is not only the quantity of goals, but the variety. Diomandé scores in every possible way. He scores with his head, with that enormous wingspan he has, attacking the crosses like a guided missile. He scores with his right, with shots from outside the area that are authentic shells. He scores with his left because yes, he is an ambidextrous footballer. And that, in elite football, is a lethal weapon. He scores in set pieces, appearing at the far post when no one expects him. He scores on the counterattack, taking advantage of his speed to arrive first before any center-back in the world. There he scores in the big matches. And this for me is the most important of all, because goals in the league against mid-table teams anyone scores. But Diomandé scores on champions' nights. He scores in the derbies. He scores when the team truly needs it. He is a player of those who appear when the mud reaches your neck, of those who do not hide, of those who ask for the ball when all the others are afraid. Do you remember what I said at the beginning? That there is a piece of data that no one has told you and that I am going to reveal at the end. Well, it has to do exactly with this, with Diomandé's goals in decisive matches. But it is not the time yet. Not yet. I still have a lot to tell you before getting there. So do not touch that exit button. Because now we go with the big part. We go with the money. We go with the figures of the operation. And get ready. Because what Real Madrid has paid for Diomandé is a colossal declaration of intentions. The transfer of Diomandé has cost Real Madrid 85 million euros. 85 million euros. Let it sink in well. It is an enormous amount, yes. But wait to hear the context. Because 85 million euros for a player of Diomandé's age, with his projection, with his numbers, with the number of clubs that wanted him, is not expensive. It is a bargain. And I explained to you why. There were other clubs on the table. Manchester City put on the table an offer of 78 million euros. Chelsea reached up to 75 million euros. Bayern Munich sounded out with a proposal of 68 million euros plus variables. And PSG, which lately wants to sign everything that moves, offered 80 million euros clean. But Diomandé chose Real Madrid. He chose the white. And that, careful, that says a lot about the player's mentality. Because when a footballer has offers from half the world and chooses Real Madrid, it is because he wants to win. He does not want to earn money and that's it. He wants to win titles. He wants to make history. He wants to play at the biggest club in the world. And I, as a fan, that is what I value the most. A guy who comes here to leave his skin, not to stroll around and collect a millionaire salary. And speaking of salary, because I know you are asking yourselves, Diomandé is going to earn 12 million euros net per year. 12 million euros per year, which is a lot of money, yes, but compare it with what other players who perform half earn. Doesn't it seem so much anymore? 12 million euros per year for a guy who scores 20 or 25 goals per season for you, who beats any fullback in the world for you, who wins the big matches for you. It is an investment, not an expense. And the contract is until 2031. A long contract. A contract that demonstrates that Real Madrid is betting on him as a central piece of the project for the next 5 years. With a release clause, pay attention to this, of 1,000 million euros. 1,000 million euros. That's nothing. That means that no one, absolutely no one, is going to be able to take him out of Real Madrid unless the player wants to leave. And seeing the illusion with which he has arrived, that is not going to happen. But careful that the thing does not end here. Because in addition to the 85 million euros of the transfer, there are variables that could raise the operation up to 100 million euros. Variables linked to goals, to Champions League matches, to league titles. And for me, this is intelligent. Because it means that if Diomandé performs at the level that is expected of him, those 100 million euros are going to be the best money spent in the recent history of football. And if he does not perform, the club saves the difference. It is an intelligent operation. Well thought out, and well executed. And now comes what many of you were waiting for, what Mourinho has said. Because Jose Mourinho, who is one of the coaches who has always had the best eye for detecting pure talent, has dropped a statement that has set social networks on fire. According to what has been able to be heard in a recent interview, Mourinho has said, and I quote the sense of his words because they are an authentic bomb, that Diomandé is one of those players who are born once every 15 or 20 years. That he has followed him for a long time, that he wanted to sign him when he was at Roma and could not because they did not have the money, and that Real Madrid, by signing him, is building a team designed to sweep everything and everyone. Mourinho has said that with Diomandé in the team, Real Madrid has the offensive power necessary to face Barcelona and any rival that puts itself in front, no matter who it is. That Diomandé has that winner's mentality, that hunger for titles, that Madrid needs. And that those who are doubting this signing are going to swallow their words before Christmas. And I give Mourinho all the reason. Because Mourinho has seen pass through his team's footballers like Drogba, like Cristiano Ronaldo, like Hazard in his best version, like Eto'o. And if a guy who has directed those stars tells you that Diomandé is special, I believe it. And you should also believe it. Because here we are not talking about just any coach dropping a compliment out of commitment. We are talking about Mourinho. A guy who never gives away a free praise, who never says something he does not truly think, putting his name and his reputation behind Diomandé. That, for me, is worth more than any statistic. But wait, because Mourinho has said something more, something that has gone a bit unnoticed in the media, but that for me is the most revealing of all. Mourinho has said that Real Madrid, with this signing and with those that come after, is mounting a team thought specifically to destroy Barcelona. He has not said compete with Barcelona. He has not said be at the level of Barcelona. He has said destroy. And that word in Mourinho's mouth has a colossal weight. Because Mourinho knows what it is to face Barcelona. He lived it as coach of Real Madrid in the most intense years of the Clásicos. In the Guardiola era, in the nights of Copa del Rey and Champions League, where the whole world stopped to watch Madrid-Barca. And if Mourinho says that this signing goes in that direction, I stand up and applaud. But do you know what happens? That Mourinho is not the only one who has spoken. Because the Spanish press, pay attention, is absolutely impressed with this operation. And this is important because the Spanish press is not precisely easy to impress. Marca, which is the most read sports newspaper in Spain, has dedicated a cover to the signing, classifying it as the most ambitious incorporation of the season. It has published a tactical analysis where it compares the qualities of Diomandé with those of the best forwards in the history of the club. El Chiringuito, which you already know is a spectacle in itself, has dedicated an entire program to debating about Diomandé. And I am going to tell you something. Even the pundits who always doubt the signings, even the most critical ones, have recognized that this move has a tremendous look. Cope has spoken with sources from the club's environment who assure that Diomandé was the #1 priority of the signing department for more than a year, an entire year working in silence to close this operation. And Mundo Deportivo, which normally leans towards the Barcelona side, has had to recognize that Real Madrid has gotten hold of a player that many teams desired and that can change the dynamics of the entire league. And this is what I like the most about the whole matter, that it is not a signing that divides. It is not a signing that generates controversy in the own fans. It is a signing that generates illusion, that generates hunger, that makes the fan who is right now watching me from Spain, from Miami, from New York, from Los Angeles think this season can be ours. This season the team comes for everything. And that sensation, that electricity in the atmosphere, is what differentiates a good season from a historic season. But careful, that I do not want you to think that everything is applauding and celebrating. Because there is something that I have to say and that I ask you to reflect with me. There are people who are saying that 85 million euros are too many for Diomandé, that it is an excessive risk, that the player comes from a league where it is easier to stand out and that does not guarantee anything in elite football. And to those people I say one thing, you are right to be prudent, but you are wrong in the conclusion, because 85 million euros in the current market are not what 85 million euros were 5 years ago. The prices have risen a barbarity. For 85 million euros nowadays, sometimes you do not even take a substitute fullback from a mid-table Premier League team. And for 85 million euros, Real Madrid has taken a goal-scoring forward, skillful, fast, strong, young, and with a winning mentality that is difficult to find. Is that expensive? For me, and I say it with my hand on my heart, it is cheap. It is a bargain. Within 2 seasons, if Diomandé performs at the level that I believe he is going to perform, 85 million euros are going to seem like a joke to you, a robbery, a masterpiece of negotiation. And now yes, we go with something that I have been keeping since the beginning of the video, what I still have not told you, what makes this signing different from any other. Do you remember that I told you that there was a piece of data that no one had revealed to you? Well, here it comes. And get ready, Diomandé has a goal-scoring record in knockout matches that is, simply, among the best in current European football. I am not talking about scoring goals in the group stage against teams that defend with 10 men back and that are already eliminated. I am talking about goals in the round of 16, in the quarterfinals, in the semifinals, in the matches where your legs tremble, where the pressure is maximum, where the rival waits for you with a defensive wall and a specific plan to annul you. In those matches, Diomandé not only does not disappear, but he grows, he enlarges, he becomes a beast. And that, in elite football, is the most difficult to find. Good players, there are many. Players who score goals in the league, there is a barbarity. But players who score on Champions League nights, on the nights where the stadium is burning and the whole world is watching, those can be counted on the fingers of one hand. And Diomandé is one of them. And that is why Real Madrid has paid 85 million euros. Not for the dribbles that he has, not for the speed that he has, not for the strength that he has. He has paid 85 million euros for that. For the capacity to appear when it matters the most. For being decisive on the big nights. For being the guy who, when the match is tied in the 85th minute of a Champions League semifinal, asks for the ball, goes past 2 rivals and puts it in the top corner. That is not bought with money. That is a gift. And Diomandé has it. Think for a moment about what that means for the team. Think about what it means to have a guy like that in your squad. A guy that the rivals know is there, that he can explode at any moment, that they cannot fall asleep even for a second, because if they leave him a meter of space, he punishes them. That changes the dynamics of an entire team. That makes the opposing center-backs unable to go up to attack, because they have to watch Diomandé. That makes the fullbacks unable to join the attack, because Diomandé beats them on the back in the blink of an eye. That opens spaces for the teammates. That generates imbalance in every action. That, friends, is what a signing of 85 million euros must contribute, and Diomandé contributes it in abundance. And there is another aspect of Diomandé that I want to highlight because for me it is fundamental, and because it says a lot about what type of footballer he is. His work without the ball, because in modern football it is no longer enough to just have talent. It is no longer enough to be a genius with the ball at his feet, and when he loses it he stays looking. And Diomandé has that very clear. He is a player who presses, who squeezes the defender from the first line, who puts his body in, who steals balls in the opposing half, who does the coverages he has to do, who drops back to help the fullback when it is needed, who never hides. And that, in a team like Real Madrid, is pure gold because elite coaches need players who work both sides of the game, who attack and who defend, who are complete, and Diomandé is complete. He is a total player. He is a footballer who gives you everything you need in attack and everything you need in defense, everything in the same package, everything in the same body of 1.80 something of pure muscle and talent. And do you want to know something more? Diomandé has a competitive mentality that borders on the obsessive. According to the people who have worked with him, he is the first to arrive at training and the last to leave. He stays practicing free kicks until the coaching staff tells him to go rest. He visualizes the matches the night before. He studies the opposing defenders. He knows their weak points before stepping on the field. He is a professional from head to toe, of those who do not go out partying the night before a match, of those who take care of their nutrition to the millimeter, of those who sleep the hours they have to sleep, of those who treat their body like a precision machine. And in the dressing room, according to all the sources, he is a natural leader, a guy who speaks little but when he speaks, everyone listens, who preaches by example, who, if a step forward has to be taken in a difficult moment, he takes it without thinking. And this leads me to another question that I know you are asking yourselves. Where is Diomandé going to play? How does he fit into the tactical system? Because a player with these qualities has to play, that is clear. But where? And here comes the interesting part. Because Diomandé is a versatile footballer. He can play as a center forward, as a right winger, as a left winger, as a second striker, even as a second forward. He is a footballer who adapts, who can play in any attacking position and perform at the highest level. And that gives the coach a brutal tactical flexibility. Because according to the rival, according to the match, according to the moment of the season, you can put him in a different position and you know that he is going to respond. What do you need? A reference number 9 who fixes the center backs? Diomandé does it. What do you need? A winger who beats the flank and cuts diagonals into the area? Diomandé does it. What do you need? A second striker who connects the play and appears in the area to finish? Diomandé does it. He is a multi-use weapon, an offensive joker, a footballer who is worth 3. And now, stop for a moment and think about the following. Think about a Champions League match in a Santiago Bernabéu full to the flag, with the fans roaring and Diomandé taking the ball on the edge of the area, facing his defender, throwing a devastating dribble at him and releasing a shot that goes into the top corner while the stadium explodes. Think about that image, because that is what is coming. That is what you are going to see this season. And I do not know about you, but I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And speaking of the coming season, because this is important, this signing is not an isolated move. This forms part of a bigger project. A project where Real Madrid wants to dominate Europe for the next 5 or 10 years. And Diomandé is a central piece of that project. It is not a filling signing. It is not a player for the rotation. It is a signing to be an undisputed starter, to be the offensive reference, to be the guy that the newspapers talk about every Monday morning after having destroyed the defense of the turn the previous weekend. The Spanish press has it clear. In Marca, they already talk about that this season Real Madrid is going to be practically unbeatable with the incorporation of Diomandé to the attack. AS has titled that the signing of Diomandé turns the white team into the favorite for the Champions League. El Chiringuito has mounted a debate where the majority of the pundits coincide that this signing is a masterpiece that raises the competitive level of the team at least 2 steps. And Cope has collected statements from former Real Madrid players who are enthusiastic about the arrival of Diomandé. According to sources from the club's environment, in the dressing room the reaction has been of euphoria. The teammates themselves are looking forward to playing with him. And that says a lot. Because when those who know football the best, those who are inside the field, those who are going to play with Diomandé side by side are excited. It is because they know that they have in front of them a special player. And there is one more thing that I want to tell you. And I am going to do it now because I believe it is the moment. Do you know why Diomandé chose Real Madrid above all the other clubs that wanted him? Above Manchester City and its petrodollars? Above Chelsea and its millionaire project? Above PSG and its comfortable league? Because Diomandé, according to what has transcended from his closest environment, had a dream since he was a kid playing barefoot on the streets of Côte d'Ivoire. A dream that he carried engraved in his head since he saw for the first time a Real Madrid match on a small television in a bar of his neighborhood. The dream of dressing in white. the dream of playing at the biggest club in the world. And now that dream has become reality. And a player who arrives fulfilling a childhood dream, a player who arrives with that motivation, with that illusion, with those ganas to eat the world, is a player who is going to give everything, every training, every match, every minute, because he is not playing for money, even though he earns 12 million euros a year that he deserves. He is playing for something bigger than money. He is playing for his dream. And now, if it seems good to you, let's do an exercise. Let's put ourselves in the skin of the rival defender who has to mark Diomandé. Imagine that you are a center-back of the league who goes out onto the field on a Saturday night and they tell you, today you have to mark Diomandé.